Shabbat Shalom. The famous Torah scholar, the Sfat Emet, takes a look at a verse from our parasha this week, Nitzavim-Vayeilech. He looks at Deuteronomy 29, verse 9. You stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God. And the Sfat Emet asks, what does it mean for us to stand before the Lord our God? And the answer he gives is that it means to stand in prayer. He points out that Midrash Rabbah says that the evening prayer has no fixed time. And this is really interesting. We are taught in the Talmud exactly when to pray in the morning and exactly at what time to pray in the afternoon. But as far as the evening, the Ma'ariv prayer goes, we're not told when to pray. So what is different about the nighttime? Well, aside from not being told what time to pray in the nighttime, what we also know about the night, and especially in the ancient world, is that nighttime was a time of mystery, as epitomized by darkness. In the ancient world, night was a much darker time than it is today. There weren't electric lights. There wasn't what we know today as light pollution in large cities. And it was therefore also a much more dangerous time. One was more vulnerable to bandits. One was generally less secure than one is today. And that is partly the reason why the Talmud doesn't give a fixed time to pray at the evening, because you've got other concerns going on in the nighttime. And your survival depends on being alert, being aware, and not possibly being distracted by prayer in the nighttime. If you consider dangers that could occur in the nighttime when possibly you are quite isolated from your neighbor, you couldn't call 911 and expect someone to show up to help you. So in particular at nighttime, one was a lot more dependent on God's protection than during the daytime. So the Sfat Emet explains that evening prayer is the prayer that comes at the time of darkness. Now, this sounds obvious, but what is the quintessence of darkness? Well, the Sfat Emet teaches it is the darkness of the human heart, a very, very powerful thing. It is what is at work when we call to God from our pain. And this cry to God opens the gate of prayer more than does any fixed time of prayer, more than fulfilling the mitzvah of praying the morning prayer at the right time or the afternoon prayer at the specifically appointed time, is the prayer that comes from the heart in one's moment of need to God, a spontaneous prayer. Which is to say that when Israel stands before the Lord in darkness, meaning in pain, in a real moment of need, we stand before the Lord in a way that is beyond time, that almost transcends nature and its laws. In the coming days, we stand before our Creator in prayer over the high holy days, even though we won't be gathering as a community, as a Temple Beth David community, in synagogue together, whether you access pre-recorded prayers, which we're making available online, whether you borrow a prayer book from Temple Beth David and decide to pray on your own at home in a quiet, private space. This is a time when we, as the Jewish world, more than any other time in the year, when we stand before God in prayer. It's an opportunity for us to approach God in honesty, to expose ourselves, to reveal the areas of our own darkness, and to let our own outcry, the prayers of our hearts open the gate of prayer with greater power than the rigors of the daily routine of fixed prayer. Furthermore, the prayer of the heart is highly valued and honored in our tradition. Articulately authored prayer was originally innovated for the benefit of those who struggled to craft their own prayer, but not because personal spontaneous prayer is looked down upon, by no means. For example, the first example of prayer that we see in Torah is Moses crying out spontaneously to God to heal his sister Miriam, who is suffering terribly with a painful skin ailment. He cries out to God, Elna Refa Nala. 5 words, and she is healed. Please, God, please heal her now. 5 words in Hebrew, however, that come from the deepest of deep places, from the darkest of dark places. Furthermore, as our Haftarah on Rosh Hashanah reads, when we read about Hannah, who prays to God to end the torture of her childlessness, she cries out to God spontaneously from her heart. These are our blueprints of prayer. And so what I invite you to do is to make the most of the opportunity of the High Holy Days, to take advantage of this opportunity to wake our sleeping souls, to shut out the world around us, and to dig deep inside to the places that only we can go, that only we know. Make the most of this opportunity. Shabbat Shalom.